Hi, my name is Lee Kottner, and I'm your instructor for MAT 125, Web Design 1 Fundamentals. And this is an online course, and I'll show you how you can log into our course. You might already be familiar with the MiraCosta College system and the Canvas Learning Management system, but if you're not, I'll just really quickly show you how to get into this. I would like to say, though, that if you are familiar with Canvas, just go ahead and stick with me for a second. Don't skip through this because there are going to be things that are specific to our class that you're going to need to know. So anyway, go up here to miracosta.edu in your browser, and then when you get there, you're going to see a link for online ed. Click on that, and at this point in time, we only use Canvas. We no longer use Blackboard. So you're going to click on the login to Canvas, and I'm already logged in, but what it's going to do is it's going to take you to a login screen where you are going to put in your W number that you used in the SURF enrollment system to enroll. That's what you got whenever you enrolled, and your password. All right, so it's the same username and password as the enrollment system has. Okay, and then once you get in, you should hopefully see a dashboard. If you don't, there is a little button up here, and you can do a different view if you want, like a list view. I like the card view, whatever. And I'm just going to come back up here. I'm going to go back up to the card view. All right, and I have a picture set for the class. It looks like this. And I want you to know right off the bat, one of the things that you can do if you're not aware of this is that you can change the color here so that you can create your own color overlay. I'm going to stick with this sort of muted gray color. But one of the things that's important that you also know is that the color that you choose here is not just the way that it's going to look as your color overlay for the image. It's also going to be the color that all of your announcements for that class will show up inside of the calendar. So you want to make sure that you choose different colors for different classes if you want your classes to stand out inside your calendar differently. So, and I'll show you what I'm talking about in just a second. The other thing that you can do that's kind of nice is you can change the short name that is going to show up here for your class. And I think that that's kind of nice because I find that the FA18 blah, 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 right? So it's kind of a little tricky sometimes. So I'm going to do MAT 125 and then I'll just say online and I'll say F18 like that. Okay, you can do it however you want, and see it shows up now nice and short and sweet, and it'll show up that way in other places so that it doesn't, you know, look like this everywhere you go. You can also click on here for announcements if you see that there are announcements, and also if you see assignments that pop up, discussions, and if there are new files that are added, but mostly it's going to be these three that you care about. The other thing that I want to jump to just really quickly is on the right side. It's going to show you things that you have coming up, things that are due. Like right now we don't have anything to do because I'm recording this before the semester begins, but you'll see when your assignments and things come up, so you can always click on those directly and it'll take you straight to them. But there's also another way that you can navigate, and you can click here to go into our class. So let's go ahead and do that. And so this is the way that our homepage works for the class, and really fast I'll show you this little toggle. There's this little hamburger menu up here. If I click that, I get a contextualized menu right here that I'm scrolling over, and that is contextual to our specific class. So you'll notice that possibly different classes are going to have different options in this particular menu, and that's something that every teacher sets up for different classes differently. All right, but you can toggle that on or off so that you have more space here. The other thing that I wanted to show you is that if you scroll down, you'll see that there's this quick announcements. Right now, the announcements are empty because I haven't sent you any, but what this will do is it will automatically scroll the announcements for you right here. So if there's something new, it'll show you the newest thing first, okay? And then down below that, you have access to pretty much anything that you would need in the class. So this is a really good launch place for you to find what you need. If you have a question about anything, whether it's a due date, if you see a conflict anywhere in my due dates or something that's confusing, please don't be timid, ask, because you're probably, or you might be catching something that you know, that I need to change for other people too. So, or I can just clear it up if it's not something that is actually a problem. Here is a link for conferences. We use the Zoom online conferencing tool for any kind of office hours. I do have office hours in person this semester. I have not set those hours yet, but I will announce those in the syllabus once I actually am able to work those office hours out. So if you would like to meet with me in person because you feel that's better for you and our times work out, then that's fine. Otherwise, we can always set up an online session, and it's actually a really nice and intuitive, easy tool to use. And there's a Zoom tutorial right here if you want to click on that page. If you actually go there, you'll see that there's like once it actually loads, there's a video here, shows you how to use it, and I've got some screenshots and stuff like that. All right, so let's go back home. And also, you can click on announcements here as well as here. And syllabus link, this links you to all assignments. I'll just quickly jump to that. And I want to show you, it shows you right off the bat by default upcoming in chronological order. But if you want to look at it by type, you can click this button up here and it'll show you in categories. So like you'll see when we talk about this later, we have weighted groups for your assignments. But if you know that, oh, I'm looking for a pen assignment, I'll explain what that is later, you can just jump here and say, oh, I need whatever pen, right? And you can just click on it that way, as opposed to looking through the chronological order. Capstone, right, whatever, okay? And then you can see that really quickly here. So that's an easy, quick link to assignments if you can't find what you're looking for any other way, okay? And then also in participation, that's where I have some of the quizzes, but you also have a quick link over here on the left that jumps straight to quizzes. If you don't want to have to weed through everything else, it'll bring you to quizzes, it'll bring you to discussion, because quizzes and discussions are part of your participation overall grade. Okay, and if you were to go back to that assignment, you see that it's a significant portion of your overall semester grade participation is. Okay, so let's jump back home and take a look at that home page. All right, and also if you want to look at your grades, they're right here. And there's another quizzes link right there as well, so you can jump straight to it if you need to take one. Let's look at your grade center really fast. You may already be familiar with this, but you know, sometimes I find that students are generally familiar with things, and a lot of times there's like this one thing that maybe another teacher doesn't do that I do, or vice versa, right? And then you might learn like, oh, that's where that is, right? So please try not to skip over anything. If anything, this is a YouTube video, you can always speed it up. There's a little gear icon in the lower right corner of the player window. Click the gear, you can go to speed, and you can speed my voice up. I'd rather you do that than ever skip it. Okay, so if you look here, we don't have anything that is due yet. Obviously, the class hasn't started. So whenever you turn something in, though, you'll see that there's an option like a little comment. You'll see like a little tiny text box. That means I've left you some sort of comment, and so you should click on that. Also, if you have your notifications set up to accept comment notifications, it will let you know whenever I've graded something and whenever I have commented on something, so that you can go and take a peek at it. And you can always respond to your comments, and I will also get notification that you've sent something. So let's just jump back really quick. All right, and then there's a link right here. We'll go over this later in the semester, but it goes to free media resources on my, I keep a separate website that is where I keep a lot of teaching materials. For this particular class, I'm keeping everything inside of Canvas this semester. There might be a different semester when you're, you know, if I reuse this tutorial for the orientation, where I do put some additional resources on my instructor website that is separate from Canvas, but I will put that somewhere in text. But as of right now, this is fall 2018, almost everything is going to be inside of Canvas. This is one exception, and it allows you to click here to collapse everything, and so there's some educational resources up here if you ever need to know, like, what is a copyright, what does copyright free mean, what does royalty free mean, these things are really confusing. And so I would really strongly recommend that you take a look at these. But at the bottom, all right, so I sort of hope that you'll read this first, and then at the bottom I show you some really good resources. It's a really good compendium of resources where you can get free high quality stock photography, video, and audio resources. Okay, so I'm not going to spend much time on that. Let's go back to Canvas. Now, down below that, instructor contact. I am very responsive to email. I will almost always get back to you right away, but technically, and it also says this in the syllabus, I do reserve the right to say that, you know, it's like up to maybe 2 to 3 days that I'll get back, not including weekends and holidays. That being said, I almost always do. And if you don't hear back from me right away, unless it's like a holiday or something like Thanksgiving or whatever, if you don't hear from me right away, you know, feel free to send me a follow-up email. You're not going to harass me. You know, I mean, definitely give me a day or two to respond. Don't send it, you know, 30 minutes later. That's just sort of that's a little bit harassing if you are, you know, sending me emails like every 30 minutes to every hour or something like that. But you know, give me a little bit of time to respond. But if you don't hear from me in like a day and you really, really need something, you can send another email saying, hey, did you get my email? All right, because every once in a while, with the way that threaded conversations are with our email system, and by the way, our email system is sort of new and it does things a little differently, sometimes emails get buried. Okay, so please don't hesitate to let me know that you need to talk to me. All right, so weekly responsibilities. This is a really quick list of links over here that will take you to each week. And so I have this set up in such a way that if you click on week 1, or week whatever it happens to be, it'll show you what you're responsible for during that week. And if you're not sure, you know, what we did the previous week or what's going to come up the next week, here's a quick little set of jump links that you can jump to any week so that you can go backwards or forwards without having to go all the way back to this home page every time. Okay, so that's actually pretty handy. And it tells you what the current week is that you're looking at. And by the way, these dates, if this happens to be not fall of 2018, then if it's a spring or something like that, and I reuse this orientation, just please overlook the dates. Things have probably changed a little bit, right? Because it's a different time. But anyway, so it'll tell you right at the top, and this is consistent for every single week, the way that this is structured. Right at the top, it'll tell you what is due this week. It doesn't give you the details of it. It just says, hey, this is due. It's sort of like a reminder. Boom, take a look at this. All right, and it says, the first thing that you got to do is watch the class orientation. Now it's empty right here. There's nothing here because I am currently recording the class orientation video. So that's going to be a little video that's right there. And then, you know, you're going to have to read the syllabus. We're going to sort of hit some high spots on the syllabus, but then I want you to go back and actually read the whole thing. And then you have to do this thing called class introductions, where you make your initial post where you introduce yourself, and then everybody does that, and you give a little bit of time for people to make their posts, and then by Sunday night you have to come back at some point before then and respond to your classmates, and there's a prompt that tells you what to do there. So like, I'm going to open this in a new tab and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So if we go over here to the class introductions, so this is something that you have to do. It tells you your initial post is due by Wednesday of this week, or of the first week of class. This is sort of like not showing up for the first day of class in an on-ground class if you don't do this. I reserve the right to drop you. It's, you know, because if you are not participating, then I have to make quick decisions about who to let into the class and who not to keep, right? So it's sort of like on a normal on-ground class, if you don't come to the first day of class, your instructor very well may drop you to give somebody else the seat. This class is over-enrolled and it does have a wait list, so make sure that you do this, okay? And then by Sunday, this is where you have to come back and do your responses. I tell you exactly what you need to do in order to participate in this, and then what you would do after you've read all of it is you click this little reply button, and then you would go down here to start creating your post. Now, if you want to reply to a person, then there's a different reply button. It's not, here, let me hit cancel. It's not this reply button. It would be the tiny little reply button that would be at the bottom of somebody's post, okay? This is going to make a brand new post to the entire discussion, right? It makes a new thread. Okay, so let's jump back home, and oh, we were on week 1. Yeah, and see, this is sometimes what will happen in Canvas. You can maybe go down a rabbit hole, and if you kind of get lost, you can always jump back home and go to whatever the week is that you're looking for, or whatever the thing is that you're looking for. So let's go back to week 1. And so you've made your introduction post, and then you should immediately, even though it's not due until Sunday, it doesn't mean that you need to start it. You need to start it sooner than Sunday. So you would need to do this thing where you set up your CodePen account, and it has a little tutorial. And what CodePen is it's a free online web coding editor. All right, and the benefit of using that, and I talk about this in the tutorial as well, but the benefit of using that instead of having something on your computer at the very beginning of the semester is that everybody can just jump right in. It's very intuitive. It has color coding. It's free. You can set up an account, lickety-split. And the thing that's also nice is that it doesn't matter if you're on Windows, Linux, or an Apple computer, your interface is going to all look the same because it's all web-based. So that's one of the reasons that we start with that. And there's some other reasons. It's actually, it takes a lot of the complication of a lot of other things that we're going to learn later out of the mix so that you can just sort of dive into your code-based stuff. Anyway, so by Sunday, you need to watch this lecture. And actually, here, let's take a look at this. This is what I kind of don't want you to do. The thing that I'm doing, I don't want you to do, which is like start moving down this list, just doing them necessarily one by one. You should scroll down, and what you'll find here is you've got important benchmarks for the week. And then I don't have this part on every week. This is just for the first week, but basically it tells you, hey, we've got a lot of moving parts in this class. Everything is accretive, meaning that thing C depended on you completing thing B, and thing B was dependent on being successful with thing A. So you need to keep up, otherwise you're going to have a hard time in the class. You're going to fall behind really fast otherwise. So what I do to help you with that is I keep these like sections every week that are called benchmarks. That's what I call them. It says to keep up, make the following progress, right? And then it tells you in the order that I suggest that you do them. You may disagree, and that's fine, but I have a suggestion based on the fact that I've taught this a bunch. And the first thing I would say to do is watch the video you're watching and read the syllabus, right? The next thing, and because part of that, you might look at that and you might go, I really don't know if I want to be in this class, right? That's the first decision that you got to make. And then if that's the case, you might want to leave the class and drop it and go find another class. That's up to you too. So the next is that you would make your contribution by or before Wednesday. And then you have to watch this first lecture, right? This is a video lecture. I try to do as many things as possible in video format lecture, and then if it's something that was based off of slides, I'll also give you the PDF as well. But this way you can hear me talking about stuff, and I actually probably say more in the video than you would actually be able to glean from just looking at a PDF. Okay, and then I tell you about your readings, which are always going to be located down here. And then I make this comment here that I suggest that you don't sacrifice following, doing your lessons and your assignments just so that you can finish reading. So try doing all of these things kind of a little bit at the same time, right? So try to do some reading and then get started on your lessons and things like that. And the reason is because otherwise, if you do all the reading, you're going to be like, this is a little bit confusing. This is one of those topics, the stuff that we're going to learn in this class, where as you're doing it and reading it, it's going to help you more than if you just read everything first, because a little bit of it is based in practice. So if you do some reading and then do some stuff and then you're doing some more reading, they both kind of support each other, and that's kind of what's going to help solidify a lot of concepts for you. Okay, so anyway, and then I tell you to start your practice lessons, and I'll talk about the way the assignments are structured in a minute. But basically, for most of our stuff, you're going to have practice lessons before I dive you into your full-on assignments. The practice lessons are technically graded, but only as part of participation. So I'm not grading for complete accuracy and things like that. I'm grading to see that you sincerely made an effort to do stuff. And so, you know, but it's also where you're going to realize that you're having problems if you're going to have problems, and then you can contact me and say, I need help, right? But if you don't do your practice lessons, there's no way you'll be able to successfully complete most of your assignments in this class. So I'll just tell you that right up front. And there are different practice lessons that are in the book, but those are not assigned. They are not required. If you want to do them, that's up to you, but you still have to do all the other stuff that you'll see is assigned, okay? I want to reiterate that. The lessons that are in the actual book that's assigned textbook reading are not the practice lessons that are due, okay? There's a lot of times there's like one person who will miss that and they'll turn the wrong thing in. All right, so make sure you're sort of paying attention to everything. Okay, so anyway, it tells you what you need to be doing by when. Okay, every week is structured this way. And then I have sort of like a breakout down at the bottom. It's a reiteration. It's nothing new. It's a reiteration of all the stuff that's up here, but it's so maybe you don't have to do all the reading just to get some quick links. Any lectures, there's this course orientation. Again, there will be a video here. That's why it says empty right there. And then lecture 1, HTML principles, then related practice lessons that are due. And then what I tell you is that I want you to do the first 9 videos. All right, there's a 10th, but you don't have to do the 10th one. That's like 45 minutes or something. You don't have to do that one this week. You can do the first 9 this week. Or the starting week. So those are about 2.5 hours of runtime, meaning that it's 2.5 hours of video playtime. That means it's actually going to take you longer than 2.5 hours to do the practice lessons themselves. So just be aware of that. I would say maybe 4 hours, maybe something like that, 4 to 5 hours total as you're following along, something like that. Okay. These are your readings, and then your assignments are, again, they're sort of pulled out of the mix that's all up here, but these are assignments at a glance. These are things that are going to have a grade associated with them. And then if you're done with the week, you can click down here and go to next. And you can go to the next module, which is week 2. All right, and you can also get them by clicking up here as well. And then it tells you what's due by which day and so on and so on. And the whole semester is set up like that, okay? So that you know what to expect. What I want to do is go ahead and show you the syllabus, because I want to show you the way that the assignments are set up, and it's very, very clearly explained here, and I'll also explain some other stuff as well, like the learning outcomes and things like that. So I'm going to go ahead and put a bookmark in this, and we're going to end this video as the end of part 1 for your orientation, so that you go into part 2 of the orientation, where I go over the syllabus, the grading, and some other really important stuff about the class that you need to know up front. Okay, and these videos are in a YouTube playlist, so it should immediately, as soon as this is over, start playing the next one.